Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps. It is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can. And your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. Yeah, we don't. And by we, I don't just mean me, Patty P. I mean the best of the West you can't forget about. Sarah Marshall was popping, girl.
Hey, yo.
Hello. Ooh. Hello.
That was a yawn with the hello. Jesus.
I know. It's just that time of day.
Time of day. You went through the ringer today with NFL news, so I'm not gonna fault you for that.
Thank you.
You had a lot to write about, discuss with Aaron Rodgers and butt buddy Devontae Adams reuniting in the Big Apple, and then there was something else too. Oh yeah, fucking Amari Cooper. That, and Patriots still have their own things to worry about, but and also it's a Monday. I don't care what anyone says.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
No.
Oh,
getting
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it feels like Monday.
I'm working to the point.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Monday in the general population's eyes because obviously the holiday yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is normal life for me. Tuesdays are my Monday anyways when it comes to the work week.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome all.
Sunday is my Monday.
That's weird.
Yeah, Sunday's my Monday. Thursday's my Friday.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I really like it though because, as I said, like in the off season, the working on Sunday, like no one else is. So it's like such a good day to just get ahead of everything. And then everyone comes back to work on Monday, like, and I'm like, I have 3 days left,
Yeah.
like, then on Thursday, I'm like, oh, I'm already feeling it. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep this as my schedule all year round because I don't want to get used to anything else, and Sundays are even in the season. I mean, it's one of those things that it's like, it's fun.
It is, but it's like a different work day.
Yeah, but it's like I get to watch football all day for my job.
Yeah, that was college for me. That was essentially when it would be a work day during game day. Like, game days, work days were so much different than going to the office and having to go out and do that shit. It just had a different vibe to it. And yeah, you're working, but you're covering sports.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as working, when you're covering sports because you're just in it. And oh man, I really miss working for the athletic department. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's Monday because of the long weekend. No, we will have SmackDown breakdown this weekend. Yes. All right, we will. It was in Plymouth. I had the yearly golf. What is it? The Plymouth Cup over there. We're gonna be back on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of shit went down this weekend. I mean, Jesus. Between
there's
AEW,
there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. Thank God we do have the Thursday show, however,
which is an hour earlier this week, just as a reminder.
An hour earlier. We will be going off at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to talk about what went down because I have a few things to say about the end of Wrestle Dream, Sarah. There's a lot of debate online about it, how people felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my own thoughts, and I will share them on Thursday along with the other shit that's going on in the Wrestleverse. And I got a new shirt to debut. All right, a little hint. I'll do a little this. It's a little hint. All right, you can't really see it, but whatever. That's a hint to it. That I'll be debuting. I wanted to debut it today because I got it over the weekend, but we're talking Raw, so I gotta rep my guy, main event Jey Uso. So we'll talk about that. But Sarah, we've been royal rambling here. I don't really feel like getting into the topics right now. I want to hear from the peeps. Let's hear from the peeps in the chat. We got David. What's poppin'? Clippers fan? Interesting.
Mm.
Not a lot of you. Dickie was poppin'. Nathaniel, Yankees and Lakers are on tonight. I don't have my Yankees jersey.
He's so
I do
funny.
not own one. I
I
do not
don't
own one. I
either.
will
No,
never
he
own.
he knows. He knows. I think that's the joke.
I will not own a
Yeah,
Yankees jersey.
can't do it.
I
No Yankees and no Lakers. I can't do it.
Lakers, yeah, I can get by with 2 people. 3 people.
Well, if you're talking about legends, maybe, but still, like as a Celtics fan, like you don't
That's
you
what I'm
don't mess
saying.
with New York, you don't mess with LA. So
What's poppin', Bernard? Question. What is that question? Love answering questions. All I do
yeah.
is questions all day. We got Jay saying Raw needs to be 3 hours again, and it's for 2.
I just want to scream from the rooftops to everybody who told me, and I'm not saying Jay was one of them. I'm just saying it's a
No,
point again.
you're screaming to the peeps.
Yes, that this is what we had been saying the whole time. The second that we found out that Raw was going to go down to 2 hours for the last couple months of the year, we both have been saying, but me especially, that this was a bad idea, that it wasn't we got too accustomed to 3 hours and there was just going to be too many people not featured. There was going to be too much feeling like it was being rushed. And it's all, I mean, we've only seen 2-hour episodes of Raw so far, and there hasn't really been any positive feedback. So
I do feel the same, that it should not be just 2 hours. 3 hours, they finally found that perfect balance.
Yes.
With the new regime.
Yes.
However, with Netflix, you can't just run that's a movie. That's a movie. You have to think in terms of.
Well, they're gonna have commercials. They said there's gonna be like Netflixy commercials. I'm sure they're probably gonna have commercials with like their sponsors and then whatever Netflix has, so they can push it out to like close to 3. But Netflix still doesn't do commercials really, so I would expect
they don't do commercials. They also don't have live, okay, it's not cable.
Yeah.
They don't have another show to follow in the next spot, which is basically what this all comes down to.
Yeah.
They do not have a show or newscast or movie rerun that they're going to bleed over time into in Netflix. So the change was inevitable going to Netflix. It feels rushed now because we're still on 2 hours. Once it goes to Netflix, we will have the 220s, 213s, a 235 close to that, and maybe if it is in the 230s, well, it might end up being like 250 because of the commercials that you just said, where it's not cable commercials, it's sponsors, and then they're gonna find a way to just throw the sponsors within the show. So then, like, it's a game, and where it's better to be on this side of the game as the fan who going through these types of changes, where you could be going on the other end where we saw the changes of the PG era and shit. So
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you for putting a bow on that, please. Sorry, I got thirsty from all that yapping. Let's see any more. Jay, I do believe Rock Roman is going to be inevitable for WrestleMania 41. I don't believe anything.
I saw Richard disagrees, but because he feels like it's going to be for 42. I mean, I think that it's definitely possible, but I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that they were so gung-ho with putting on Rock Roman this year and only changed it because of the fans' reaction, and yet they're going to push it out another 2 years. Like, that's hard for me to believe, but
and it's in Vegas.
It's very easy, I think, for them to get it to be Rock Roman, especially with the run that Roman's on right now. It's so easy, and there's a way to get Cody out of the bloodline story right now. Like I don't know. I think there's a way to do it. It's possible we could get Rock Cody. That could be like at Royal Rumble or something.
That's all you need. I don't care. I'm not.
It doesn't have to be Mania or Bust.
Exactly. With that one, you don't have to have Mania or Bust. It can be at another significant Big Four pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's the point of it.
And that's the thing is like pushing it out further is only guaranteeing that that's going to be the main event, and something else that's hot at that moment that makes sense to be the main event won't be. And I feel like that's kind of unfortunate. You don't know what's going to happen in a year and a half. Leading up to WrestleMania 42, you have no idea what's going to be there. But I don't know. We'll have to see. They could definitely pivot that way.
Good. A lot of questions. I love the interaction in the chat. Love the interaction. Here's the question by our ranting friend Bernard. The question is, being that Nia and Liv facing off a crown jewel, do you guys think Liv needs to win over Nia? Because I don't think she needs it. She has a cute Queen of the Ring, and I believe Liv should win. Your thoughts? Liv absolutely. Let me backtrack a second. Because it's easy to throw a Nia needs a win, Liv needs here. But the real story that's going on right now isn't really going on between the champions. It's Tiffy time. And I think it's Tiffy's time to cash in Money in the Bank at Crown Jewel. Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Nope, it's getting pushed out. I told you, I think it's getting pushed out until they send the replicas out.
I want to debunk that theory because CM Punk Drew is over. I still don't have my goddamn bracelet.
Oh, well, did they? Oh, is it after they changed it to saying like CM Punk or whatever? Oh, well, that's weird. But anyway,
I don't have my bracelet, WWE shop.
But I still think, I mean, this is a lot more expensive than like a $10 bracelet, though.
But all right.
So I think Liv, regardless, I think Liv needs the win because people aren't taking her seriously, and if people still want to, complain about whatever she's doing, then the easy way is for Tiffy to cost Nia the match. There you go. Furthers that.
That's good. I'll meet there. I'll meet at the middle there.
Because then it still sets up Liv to be like the heel, because then it's like, oh, she won another title, with the help of somebody else, even if it wasn't.
Imagine the pyro for Liv winning and her and Dom at the entrance ramp.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot more sense. And I think that I don't know, I feel like people will be more, it is going to be really interesting to see who people cheer for in that match. I could see it being Liv, but because people are really behind Tiffany. So it's like, I feel, like if Rhea isn't involved, then I could see Liv being the one getting cheered for over Nia. Easy.
I mean, that's a women's feud I am very interested in. Also, I'm not gonna tease that. Let's wait.
Okay.
We're already talking about her.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring in.
Oh no! Hold on. I spelled her name wrong.
Oh, I don't.
That was very rude.
I didn't make the banners this week.
I know that was bad. All right. Anyway, so WWE announced early in the day that Rhea Ripley was going to be kicking off Raw, and you just already knew what it was going to be about, and that is exactly what it was about. She called out Liv Morgan. She called out Raquel Rodriguez for what they did the week before, and instead of them coming out to confront Rhea, it's Miss Tiffany Stratton. Okay, Queen Tiffy was on Raw, and I was so here for it. And she just wanted to relay a message from Nia Jax to be like, hey, stop getting in my business, girl, because like, what is going on? Rhea was not here for it, but it didn't last very long because we got Liv and Raquel out there beating some booty, which eventually leads to the unlikely partnership in the main event between Rhea and Tiffany Stratton. And I was very excited about this because sometimes the random tag teams that it's kind of just a one-off, I love them. Like, I don't like it necessarily if they're the ones that are paired together and win tag team titles and stuff like that, but I love the randomness of this kind of stuff because it just makes for a really fun match
Yeah.
usually. And this was, I mean, you couldn't put together two polar opposites more than Tiffany and Rhea. So
It's nice when you can have matchups like this, in a hyperbole, but dream matchups,
mhm.
Tiffany, Rhea, them interacting. You didn't think it was having different shows, yada, yada, yada. And then to have it be as good as it was, I love the interaction that they had out on the outside, and then, bickering back and forth, and Liv comes in with the double team power on whatever outside, and then they get back in. It's just like the interaction. I loved where you're not going to see that in any other time, and it just makes sense for Crown Jewel. And I don't know, just a big fan of it.
Yeah, and I like seeing Tiffy interacting with other people too, because it's like, oh, this is what she could be doing if she were on Raw, because we've only seen Tiffany on SmackDown since she got called up. So there's a lot of girls that she has not worked with yet. And so it was kind of cool to see her go against Liv and Raquel and being partners with Rhea. Because again, that's not something that I think if anyone had predicted what was going to happen on Raw, it definitely did not involve Tiffany and Rhea being partners. So
No.
it did set it up for the main event, which I guess we can talk about since we're already there.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was the women main eventing, which was pretty cool because it's been a while. And we had Liv and Raquel versus Rhea and Tiffany. But I would say, so I was not really excited about this episode of Raw. I feel like for me anyway, I feel like the internet actually did a fairly good job about keeping what happened on this episode of Raw under wraps because I did not see
Yeah.
really any
Actually,
spoilers.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause
Yeah.
for the IWC.
Yeah.
Because you're right, this was pre-taped. Obviously, they're in the UK right now doing their
Mhm.
tour.
Mhm.
I didn't see shit.
No, I mean, I saw some pictures, so like I knew Tiffany had shown up, but like I was like, is that a dark match? Like, what was she doing?
Yeah,
Like, there was
good
no
shit.
context. So I was happy about that, but I also just wasn't overly excited because I knew that it was pre-taped and I knew we're kind of like in the middle of
It's Crown
building
Jewel
up to
season.
something. Yeah. So it's
Crown
like,
Jewel season.
yeah, and Crown Jewel, as we know right now with the two matches that they've already announced, they're not blood feuds, they're not legitimate storyline
Oh,
feuds, they're drawn
they're
out,
they're Crown Jewel feuds.
yeah, so it's not a
They-
whole. I mean, I'm excited about the Gunther versus Cody, but like I'm also not sitting there like chomping at the bit waiting to watch. You know what I mean? So
Like, we're getting
um
it. It's okay.
yeah, but I do think that this
I'm
main
right
event,
away.
as good as it was to see, the women in the main event again, I don't really feel like it did anything for the storyline. Like, it was cool to see Tiffany and Rhea partner up, something that we probably never thought we were going to see. But I don't feel like it really did anything for the Rhea Liv and Raquel stuff. It didn't do like a whole lot for Tiffany and Naya. It was just like they put this together and that was
Yeah,
okay.
this was a match for the fans.
Yeah.
Sometimes as the wrestling TV viewer, you're going to see matchups that it's great. You're happy you watched it, but it just doesn't give you that same feeling. However, on the opposite side, the fans are like, "Holy shit! I saw Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley
Mhm.
team, and not this came out all this when they're telling stories about their experience down the years down the line." And for this build up for Crown Jewel, there doesn't need to be any sort of blood feud like it was for Bad Blood.
Yeah.
You need to have big names. That's what Crown Jewel is. The big thing that I have started to take away from this Triple H era
Mhm.
is that each show has a meaning. Each show has a certain type of build and a certain type of hype around it. Whether the theme is smacking you in the face, or it's a little hidden under the radar. He's
Mhm.
following a theme, and for Crown Jewel, it's all about money.
Yeah,
It's
they're
and it's money feuds and money matches. Gunther Cody, money match.
mhm,
Nia Liv with a potential for a Money in the Bank cash in by Tiffany Stratton. Money, and then other matches that are going to follow that we could talk about another time. But that's what we're seeing with this. And yeah, you're right. This didn't do much to further the story and make you so and much more invested.
yeah.
This just got you ready, like this is happening. I'm a fan of it. What's gonna happen on SmackDown? Like they don't want you to have that. They don't need you to have that same feeling
Mhm.
as for other feuds.
Um,
A little rant there. Loved it.
oh,
What
I was just looking at the comments 'cause we have a lot of comments today. Um,
I know, I love the comments. Please, we need to keep this shit growing.
I know, so I'm just trying to see. Uh, um. Anyway, okay. Moving on, because you'll have to go through it. I can't. So
Yeah, I
we'll get
can.
to them in a second. So, continuing with the theme of the women just dominating Raw this week, we saw
Oh,
Bianca
beautiful.
Belair and Jade Cargill on Raw, which again we said this was going to happen. We were going to see Bianca and Jade all the time as women's tag team champions. So, as much as I would have loved to see the Unholy Union continue as champions, this was inevitable. They defended their tag titles against Damage Control, and it was a good match. I mean,
Very good
I
match.
they continue to defend their titles on Raws and SmackDowns, even at the PLEs. So for all of the negativity, I would say, surrounding the women's tag team titles because, the storylines aren't there or they're not being defended or whatever. Like it seems like they're trying to put in some effort. And I think part of it also goes back to what I just said was they're doing it because of who the champions are. It's because it's Bianca and Jade and they want them on television and they know that they're going to put on a good match no matter who they're in a match with. And I'm glad to see that they keep featuring Damage Control because it was a little concerning when they broke it up. Had Bailey do her own thing, which was great, but then Asuka got hurt and Dakota Kai got hurt, and it's like, all right, what are they gonna do? So it is pretty cool that they're still going with that, and I felt like this was a solid match, another one that Bianca and Jade can be proud of too as champions.
It's matches like this that are going to legitimize Jade Cargill for when she goes into singles competition. The This championship reign that she's having with Bianca is doing so much good for her,
Mm-hmm.
better than anything she was receiving over at the Elite Company. And this uh, presentation of her, not only at the shows, wrestling, all that, but the vignettes, the
Mm-hmm.
backstage interaction she's having. She is carrying herself like a big star because she's on her way to becoming a big star. And this is only legitimizing that. And to have these matches against the likes of Damage Control, which let's look at it a little closer. Io Sky, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world right now. And then Kairi Sane,
Mm-hmm.
most underrated women's wrestler right now, I would say on the roster. And they have that legitimacy that's going to make her into that star when she finally breaks away from Bianca. It's not happening anytime soon
Mm-hmm.
because they're legitimizing the tag team championship.
I think
Like,
this was the best way for them to slowly like integrate Jade into the mix because when when WWE has made huge signings like this in the past, whether it be, oh, it's a big signing because you kind of stole her from the competitor, or it's like, oh my God, this is a big name. Like, I can't believe
mm,
WWE got them. They in the past have brought them in and immediately made them like a champion in the main event, like shoving it down your throat. And I think a lot of us expected that to happen because of who she was and
mhm.
the hole in the women's division. And so it was like, okay, this is what they're going to do. The way they were introducing us to her too. I mean, showing up in the car and the
Oh my God, she looks
outfits and
like
all of it. So it was like, okay, this is what we're gonna get. But it really varies on who it is, how the fans react. Because a lot of the time they don't react positively because it's like, okay, well, I was excited about this person coming, but now I'm sick of them because they're everywhere and they're winning everything and they're taking these opportunities from other people. This was the way to go about it with Jade. Like, I'm not saying that she doesn't have to be relegated, obviously, to a tag team for the rest of her career. Not at all. But this is a way for people to get to know who she is, allow her to continue to develop, because something that people even still talk about, which I think is ridiculous, that she needs more time in the ring and she's just not a good wrestler, blah blah blah. All right, well, if that's your argument, you can't really say anything that they haven't allowed her to get more reps in as a tag team champion, because she's doing all these matches all the time on the house shows, on Raw, on SmackDown, on PLEs. Like, she's in the training center, so it's like
the Performance Center
it's
just
she's
all the
doing a
time. She's
lot.
down in NXT.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
look at
so
you had Takara Jackson and Lash Legend not only face them on SmackDown, but then they teased a little bit more of a potential storyline with them when they were sitting at ringside for the match.
yeah. And so I think
Great.
this is just the way to get her over long term, because people aren't going to get sick of her. They're not going to be like, oh my God, like, she's already been a champion. She's already beaten all these people. Like, what's next for her? No, it's like the sky is the limit with her right now because she has been in just a tag team. But you'll already take her seriously, as you said, when she goes into singles competition, because she's already been on the roster for however many months. She's already been a multi-time women's tag team champion. She was working with Bianca Belair. Like, there's nothing better that I feel like they could have done by bringing her into WWE. So hats off to WWE for how they've gone about that, for sure. Did you want to look at comments or do you want to keep going?
It was a very good women's tag match. I don't think so. Maybe.
Maybe. I feel like that would
I
be
don't know.
pretty. The only reason why I would be like super into that is just because if you think about it, it wasn't that many years ago that the women were able to actually have a match in Saudi. So it would be pretty fantastic to then have like 8 women in a match at the same time. Like that would be pretty
That
cool.
would be pretty cool. Very historic. I'd like to see Tiffany interact with Chelsea Green. I'm gonna go further than interact. I want a tag team. I want an alliance. And if I can't get those two, I'll settle for a little bit of a feud where they can't decide who's prettier or something. I don't know.
That's why I was like so excited about Tiffany being with Pretty Deadly, because I was like, yes, this is what I need.
Very exciting. I made Tiffany and Chelsea Green a tag team in my GM mode.
Well,
and they were the tag team champions. I don't play these matches. I sim them. I let the Nonsense Galaxy decide who my winners are. And they were the tag team champs. So, you know what? In the Nonsense Galaxy, it's possible. Yeah, they have had a few segments already together. That's why I'm saying I want to push the envelope. Want more, Final Boss.
Yeah.
Want more.
All right. So, moving on to an interaction between Fergie Ferg and Adam Pearce, where Fergie wants a rematch with Damian Priest because we know what happened. And
he lost.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense that he would want a rematch, because there is a history between them, even if it isn't for a championship. Obviously, Finn is not okay with losing after he guaranteed that Damian did not get the world heavyweight title back at SummerSlam, right? Yes. So he says to Adam Pearce that he wants a rematch, but for some reason Adam Pearce says no, there's not going to be a rematch. And that immediately struck a nerve in me, because I was like, why are we so quickly moving on for this. Okay, you don't have to
Well,
raise your hand. There's no one else in class. Okay.
all right, I'm just being polite.
Okay. Well, you
Okay.
just have to wait until I'm done talking. You don't need to raise your hand. I'm not going to be like,
Maybe I'm
yes,
stretching.
yes.
Okay.
No, you were doing the like, I know the answer, teacher.
I do know the answer,
You're
but
being that
like my
annoying
arm.
kid in class, and everyone's like, oh God.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was just like, why wouldn't we give him a rematch? I want to see that because it already felt like a dead feud. So I guess I'm like, all right, whatever. If they weren't going to continue building on that or trying to make it better because they didn't do that going into Bad Blood, then fine, whatever, don't do it. But if they were going to actually give it some time and effort, then I'm like, yeah, I'd want to see it. But otherwise, I'm like, why? Why do you think they're saying no to a rematch?
Um, because Finn Balor is a tag team champion.
I know
Sarah.
we're
Um,
gonna talk about that in a second.
yeah,
But is that
yeah.
that's the only reason?
Um,
It's not for a title, him versus Damien.
yeah. Damien needs to move on.
Okay.
I'm on team archery of Archer of Infamy.
You're so rude. I can't believe you would
Damian
actually
Priest is my guy. All right.
imagine not wanting to support one of the goats of wrestling.
Damian Priest is
Finn
kind of
Balor
cool.
created the Bullet Club, honey. Stop.
I know.
So
Damian Priest had a 5-star classic with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico.
all right, calm down.
These are two things that happened. I don't know.
But did it really get 5 stars?
On
I don't think
the
so.
Patty Pitt scale, yes, it did.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, Meltzer did not give it 5 stars.
We
But you know
don't
what? He
recognize
5
that is not
stars.
canon.
You know what he did get 5 stars?
Those abs.
CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell. He gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, dude, Helen Keller would have gave it 5 stars.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I guess that's why I said, like, part of me is like kind of okay with it. Like, this is just getting Judgment Day further away from the Terror Twins and whatever, obviously besides Liv. But yeah, I am a little concerned about the tag team tourney, which was announced also by Adam Pearce. They are going to be doing a tourney to determine the number 1 contenders for the tag team championships to face my loves, Fergie Ferg and JD McDaddy. And I'm like, who on Raw? It's like, okay, are we gonna get New Day and what?
No, I'm just
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm interested because obviously I want them to keep Raw and SmackDown tag titles separate. I know there's some people who don't, but I think they should because SmackDown is just packed with talent. They can't have just one set of tag team titles. But I do wonder if this is just a way for them to set up for Judgment Day to lose. That's just my immediate thought.
Yeah.
You're just doing this so that you can take the titles off them, which concerns me. That concerns me though.
It should.
Yeah. Well, okay, the part that concerns me isn't them losing, it's what are they going to do with them after? That's the part that worries me because I feel like they were doing a really good job with what Judgment Day was doing before they broke them up, and then after they broke them up, they've just gone full steam ahead with the Terror Twins. And it's like Liv is getting a little bit of love, like she still isn't even like getting as much stuff to do as Rhea and Damien have been. And of course, then Finn and JD and Carlito are just like off to the side doing absolutely nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, if you take the tag titles off of them, then you're basically ensuring that you're not doing anything with them. And I think that's unfortunate and also the wrong move. So
I don't think they're going to be doing nothing with them. I see the agenda for Dirty Dom to be Intercontinental Champion very soon. So it feels to me that's what their focus would be on.
See, this is what I want. Oh my God, Dom and Liv as champions, please.
That would be
Latino.
I need first off, need that shirt. Second, need him to carry out the Intercontinental title with the I can feel the heat from here.
Also, I don't know if you need that shirt because the back says Daddy Dom. So
you're right. My name's not Dom.
That's yeah, it says Daddy Dom on the back. Also, I'm like, how many men are gonna buy that, guys? Like, just put a shirt that says Daddy Dom on it or something. I don't know who comes up with these designs.
I want the
sometimes.
OG. I want the OG Latino Heat one though.
They sell it.
I know. I would get that one over that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really care about this other than Alpha Academy were fed to the returning War Raiders. Okay, I am here for the War Raiders instead of being Viking Raiders because this opens the door for them to not be pigeonholed as being Vikings. Like this can just allow them to be like big burly men that like kick ass if that's what they want, you know.
I think that is. Yeah.
And that was our biggest issue with them for the most part, you know, was that it was too gimmicky. It was too.
You didn't like the antlers?
I mean, this is the thing that I think people kind of like misunderstand when we've talked about this in the past. We're not saying that Eric and Ivar did a bad job with what they were given. Yeah. They sold the shit out of being Vikings. They did a great job. So it was nothing against them, but even Ivar has said like Vince had a thing for the Vikings, so that's basically why they had to be Vikings. So I am so
of course he did.
So I am so here for the rebrand, you know, because I do think War Raiders sounds like a way cooler team name. Like if you're going to be a tag team, that's a way cooler name. And like Raiders. I said, it allows them to expand like on their look and their presentation and whatever they choose to do. So I'm here for it. And I was just excited to see Ivar back, honestly, because we're big Ivar fans here. So Alpha Academy had to be the first ones to get fed to them. I don't care, okay? Because Ivar is back on TV. We are here for him. We are here for our hometown hero. Because he's from Boston.
He is. I actually sat next to his parents one time at a show.
Oh, really? Did you tell him how much you loved their son?
I did, actually. I said, yeah, he's actually awesome.
See, this is exactly what I'm saying. Richard says, War Raiders actually make me want to root for them. They're less cartoonish. That was the thing.
NXT, when they were the War Raiders, they were putting on banger tag team matches.
And that's the thing, like the Viking Raiders was such a 90s character thing, and so it's like it wasn't shocking that Vince was like, yeah, like I love Raiders, let's like make them that. It's like because we've seen things that he has recycled or tried to do. I mean, look at the absolute flop of Nikki ASH. Like, what the fuck are we doing? You know,
women's champion that pinned Charlotte Flair. Let's not.
But still, I'm saying
Charlotte Flair.
But still, it's just not. Those kinds of things just don't really work today. Like that's why we were saying the Wyatt Six had to kind of even Bray Wyatt when he was doing the Fiend thing. The reason why the Fiend thing didn't really work was because it was too movie, like too supernatural. It was too fake. And I'm not even saying anything bad because he did a great job as the Fiend. It just didn't click with the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
So I felt like that's kind of what happened with the Viking Raiders, but now we don't have to worry about it because now they're the War Raiders again. So yeah. Was it American made? No, I thought it was Alpha Academy. Wasn't it Alpha Academy?
No, it was Alpha Academy. American made had a different match.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't think I did. I don't think I wrote that wrong. We can get to comments again after this, by the way. Okay, so we see sit down conversation between Mr. Adam Pearce and Bronson Reed. And I wasn't here for this, okay, with Mr. Adam Pearce being like, you just got out of control, Bronson. I can't believe you. I couldn't tame you. And then he wants like him to apologize. And unfortunately, Bronson did. And I was like, Bronson, do not apologize. Do not apologize for being a meaty man slapping meat. Okay. We have enjoyed the heck out of everything that he has been doing with Braun Strowman. And yet Adam Pearce manipulated this man into apologizing for the bangers he was putting on. I did not appreciate that. But whatever, because then the conversation he had with Seth Rollins, because of course Bronson said that he wants to get his hands on Mr. Seth Rollins. Seth didn't say no, and it looks like we're finally going to be getting the match that some of us at least have been waiting for, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed at some point. That would be a sick match for Crown Jewel.
That would be.
Like if they're trying to get stars on that show, because that's just how they treat Crown Jewel, obviously. Well, the champions are already locked down. All right. Well, Seth Rollins is still a top guy. You're trying to push Bronson Reed, or at least Bronson said he wants to be treated. He said it in this interview that he wants to be treated like a main event top guy. Okay, well, have them be one of the biggest non-title matches on the Crown Jewel card. I'm into that.
And Bronson can do so much more than what a big guy is supposed to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's such a unicorn when
Yeah.
it comes to his in-ring ability. I'm pretty sure I listened to his interview with Van Fleet, and he said that he trained the Inoki way, like the strong style way, which not a lot of big dudes like that
Yeah.
do. And he also can like him and Seth would have unbelievable chemistry. That's something that does deserve a spot on a Crown Jewel card
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to make the fans go ballistic.
Well, and I think, it would be Seth's return, right? Because Seth hasn't had a match yet on television since he came back. And I feel like because of what Bronson had been doing with Braun, you feel you need to make his next match feel big. So it feels like, yeah, okay, hold that off until you're having, your crown jewel pay-per-view. And then have them go at it then. Because like you said, I think this is going to be a good match. I feel like it's going to be a sneaky good match. When people look at these names, or they even just look at them side by side, you would assume that it's not going to be a good match because Bronson is so much bigger than Seth. But we also have to remember, Bronson has done his entire wrestling career against guys smaller than him, because wrestlers do not look like him most of the time, okay? Nor can they work like him. So he's a lot better at facing smaller guys than a Big Show, a Great Khali. You know what I mean?
It is
So
stiff.
yeah, so I'm excited. I actually want to see this match in this feud because I think it could be really interesting and super different for Seth. So, and I think Bronson has done enough to be treated like a main event guy. So I want to see it for him.
I do. I want to see it so bad. Give it to
me. Okay, you want to do comments?
Oh, Big Crown Jewel, and then Dickie said, "Reach should
Mm.
win the first one. Seth should win the last man standing or no DQ." I think Bronson Reed should go over Seth Rollins.
I think it just depends on how this progresses. Because I want to see more of what the meat and potatoes is of this feud, and why they're beefing. You know what I mean? And what a win or a loss would mean for each of them. And I feel like that kind of helps you figure out who should win or how should they win. But I do think that you're not putting Bronson Reed with Seth Rollins for Bronson not to go over. The whole point of him complaining is because he's not getting treated like how he thinks he should be treated. So then having him lose to Seth doesn't seem like the right thing to do. But we shall see, I guess.
Trips dropped the ball with Alpha Academy. We never really got the Otis Gable payoff.
I know.
We did. We did. I think we got what it needed for the time.
I think that they missed the opportunity the first time they teased Otis going against Gable, pushing him and whatever, because the crowd was super hot that night. And then they didn't do it again for a couple weeks, and it just didn't hit as hard as the first time. So it felt like that was a move that they should have been in, the ref's ear or something or whatever, telling them, okay, just do it now. So I feel like that was the problem. But I really feel like if we're looking at it, it wasn't really a storyline that many people really cared about. And I don't mean that in a super disrespectful way, but no one, you're booing Chad Gable. Nobody cared about Otis when Alpha Academy were the good guys with Chad Gable anyway. So this was just a random thing that people decided to care about, but it wasn't going to have long-term success anyway, because after Otis goes after Chad Gable, then what? No one cared. So
no one cared. It's dead in the water. He needs to move on to start doing his own thing. The Alpha Academy is just really, well, it just is what it is. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it's falling flat because it's just very low on the totem pole.
We knew this was going to happen though when they had
You know
Chad
it.
leave. I mean, like,
You know it. American Made is so much better. That vignette last night too made them seem so much more badass than Alpha Academy ever was. And Ivy Nile talked
finally, it's like she has a voice. It's like
pretty good.
it's like when Giovanni Vinci was finally able to talk, and you're like, oh my god.
He speaks Italian. Like everyone was probably flabbergasted.
Oh, I don't even get me started about Giovanni Vinci, okay?
I know they were coming at your man's. He's in speed. He's in the speed tournament.
Whatever. Anyway, so we also knew from WWE's tweets and social media posts, whatever, that Cody Rhodes and Gunther were going to be coming face to face for the first time after the announcement of their match at Crown Jewel. Cody Rhodes comes out, does this babyface thing, like, pandering to the crowd, asks them what they want to talk about. And that is when Gunther is like, you're going to talk about me, brother. And I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, but I also understand, okay? Because I really wanted him to just come out and be like,
and you're taking the absolute piss out of this great sport.
And that's not what we got. So we had
Walter coming out.
Yeah, we didn't get Walter. We unfortunately got a friendly exchange between Gunther and Cody. And my immediate reaction was like, oh man, I love these two to death. Okay. So I'm not like,
clearly, if you've been a fan of this channel.
Yeah. So I'm not saying anything negative about either one of them, but because of the streak that Gunther has been on recently, I wanted him to just come out and rip Cody to shreds, without even really saying much, because that's just how he does things. But I kind of understand why they didn't, because one, obviously Cody is the face of the company, so whatever. And two, this isn't a rooted feud. This is a forced match because of, the stipulation that Triple H just introduced with the new title and whatever. So them coming out and acting like they hated each other wouldn't feel genuine.
Yeah,
so I feel that's why I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe it can get heated up between now and then. I doubt it will, because they're on separate shows, obviously, but a friendly exchange, I wouldn't typically love this, but I think that given the circumstances is fine.
With the amount of time we have until Crown Jewel, you want to start off with something
When
like
is
this.
Crown Jewel?
Fun, real quick.
Oh my
It's
God,
in
I don't
like
even
a
know.
couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it's in a few weeks, because then Survivor Series is in November also, right?
November 2nd.
November 2nd. Okay, and then Survivor Series
So
is
that
like
is one.
that's like 2.5 weeks,
2.
3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so what they do now, you give them the interaction. Maybe they throw a jab on a self promo.
Yeah.
Whatnot.
Well, because it is champion versus champion, so they're gonna want to prove who's the better champion. So that is enough to make some digs at the other.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be digs, but they're not gonna be the type of digs we were seeing with Punk and McIntyre.
Oh, yeah.
These are gonna be very like strictly competitive type of jabs.
Yeah,
I will say that we're definitely going to get a Dusty jab of some sorts.
Yes, well, Gunther is kind of
gonna happen.
He's taking on a little bit of the Christian Cage thing about like hating on the family.
Doing his own. He is doing a little bit of that, I will say.
So what do you think about this? Final boss says, I think Goldberg will cost Gunther the match at Crown Jewel to set up a future match. Do you actually think that is going to happen?
All I'm saying is,
I'll say, do you think Gunther versus Goldberg is going to happen? Not even just this, because who cares about how it gets set up? But do you actually think it's going to happen, though?
I believe we'll see it. I believe we'll see it.
I don't want to.
I know, but like it is a people want to see it. And also, it's his son's school's bye week because he plays at Colorado. It's Colorado's bye week. the week of Crown Jewel. So
I hate it. Because the thing is,
NIL deals, Goldberg's
I
son probably not gonna play in the NFL.
I just am concerned. It
Got some
concerns
thoughts.
me for Gunther's health and safety. Going up against like a 50-something-year-old Goldberg. And I also I don't know, because of the last time that Goldberg was around, he was certainly in business for himself. I don't like that idea either. I don't want Goldberg to come back and be like, I need to win the World Heavyweight Championship and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. You really don't. You don't need to take it off Gunther. As much as people are like, oh, it would be good for Gunther to lose. No, it wouldn't. It would be good for Gunther to lose to a 50-something-year-old retired wrestler that's injured more people than anything. Like, stop. Stop. No. I hope it doesn't happen. And I think that, yeah, there are people that definitely want to see it now, but they didn't want to see it until Goldberg showed up at Bad Blood. Nobody was like, I want to see that match. No one was saying that.
Yeah, you talk about the perfect storm of
No.
Bret Hart. No, if I'm saying to lead up to this of why
Oh,
we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
You have Bret Hart making an appearance on Raw just because Raw's in Canada.
Mhm.
Gunther comes out and makes a joke about Goldberg. Not 2 weeks later, Goldberg's at
I know.
in his home state. Gunther can like like it's something like that. Fans they need to see that match.
No.
And we are in the era
No.
where it can be done correctly.
No.
And it can be Goldberg getting chopped. Just chopped and
If
chopped.
that okay, you know what? The only way that I would
There
be
it
okay
is.
with
That's why you
No,
want it.
the only way I would be okay with it is if I had the comfort of knowing that Gunther wasn't going to lose. And I don't have that comfort. So
Do you see it also being a way to introduce Goldberg's son into if
I
they
don't
are gonna
is
go
he
down that
trying to
road?
be is he trying to be a wrestler? We don't
I
know that.
mean, I'm just connecting dots here.
I don't know.
College athlete, the WWE is just signing
Well, he might want to
any
play
athlete.
football. I mean, you said he plays for Colorado. Does he play for Deion Sanders? Is that the
Yeah.
Colorado? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to want to probably play in the NFL. But I don't know if he's good enough to play in the NFL. I don't know anything about
That's
him.
why you always have a plan B.
Well, sure, but that's probably not going to happen for a
Triple
couple
H
years.
even told us
so,
there's always a plan B.
Whatever. Anyway, okay. So
That's
moving on to Braun Breaker, who is fully back in his heel form, which we are here for, or at least I am.
God.
He officially gets his rematch for the IC title versus Jey Uso next week. And do you think this is when Jey loses?
No.
Because my question is it believable for Braun to lose again? But is it too soon for Jey to lose the title?
Okay, you have a banner introducing this already, but what if Jey gets the win from some help, some brotherly love?
Yeah. I mean, that could be see yeah, I think that makes sense simply because as you said, we'll get to the Jimmy and Jey interaction in a bit, but because that didn't work for Jimmy in his first attempt, it seems like one of the easiest ways for him to win his brother back would be to be retaining it. But this is the thing, right? Because we said when Jey won the title, we were like, okay, does this mean that he's not going to be getting back involved with the Bloodline storyline at any point? Clearly that's not the case. They're definitely trying to reunite the OG Bloodline for Survivor Series, I assume. But that is still like a month away. So there's still plenty of time for Jey to lose the title because there's absolutely zero reason for him to go and help out the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline, with him as IC champion. There's no reason. I'm sorry, but there's not. I think that if Jimmy helps Jey, then it needs to be obvious enough that Braun is able to ask for another match. if it's going to be that he loses to him again. If he loses it to him, I mean. Otherwise, how does unless Braun is not going to be the IC champion again, which I find that hard to believe that they gave him the title for less than 2 months, and
I just don't believe that they're going to have Jey Uso have a short run, and it makes more sense for Jey to lose it to Dom with how things are or gearing towards, and then the inevitable be Dom gets his teeth kicked in by reality, and reality being Braun Breaker spearing the shit out of him.
Okay, so
breaking him in half.
Jey doesn't lose next week, is what you're saying, but he does.
He just doesn't lose. Yeah,
he loses before some Survivor Series, though.
He could lose it after Survivor Series. I just don't think he needs to because he why? What are you gonna? What are you gonna do
if he's going to be spending most of his time between now and Survivor Series, like if eventually he's like cool with Jimmy again, if he's going to be spending most of his time on SmackDown, then why the hell is he the champion?
Well, we got a little bit over a month before Survivor Series.
Yeah, but
you could give him a reign up to Survivor Series, and then a way to build up the feud.
Let's bring back that argument. Let's bring back the argument from like 2 weeks ago when he became champion, and all of you guys were telling me that short title reigns didn't mean anything, that it doesn't matter the length of the title reign. All that matters is what they do. But you're sitting here and saying that he can't have a short title reign. Why?
No, not this short.
But why?
Because then what's the point of having Braun Breaker lose?
Okay. So you're just furthering my argument. That's all. I just wanted to be proven right again. Because this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I've been saying. But anyway.
I don't like you right now.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna move on.
Okay.
So we can
okay, fine. Calm down. Calm down. Okay, well, we can talk about this and then we can finish with the Miz. No, Jey. Jey should not keep the title. I just had to like think to myself for a second. I was like, wait a second.
There's a way you can have.
Shut up. He's not keeping the title for that long.
No,
okay, it's not.
You can do it.
Whatever. Okay, so as we said, based on what we are seeing over on SmackDown after Jimmy Uso returned to help his tribal chief Roman Reigns at Bad Blood, they are continuing to try and reform the OG bloodline. And because of that, Jimmy was on Raw to try and win over the love of his twin brother once again. But Jey was not interested and actually told him to like, get out of my face, leave here. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. So, this was impactful, but at the end of the day, we know what the end game is going to be. Jey is going to reunite with the OG bloodline, but they are going to be the babyface version of the OG bloodline. And I do think that you made a fair argument that an easy way for Jey to change his opinion would be Jimmy making sure that he does not lose the Intercontinental Championship. Because a very easy way for him to just go after Jey would be like, how dare you go for a singles title run, blah, 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 blah. We were supposed to be in this together, but that's not what's happening. I think that this would be, the best way for them to get Jimmy to be like, or Jey to be like, wait a second, my brother just helped me. Maybe I should be nice to him.
I do. I just don't. I had a brain fart.
Okay. So you don't think that that's what's going to happen after you just said that was what you thought should happen?
Oh, back up. I'm reading comments and then I was listening to you.
Okay, so do you think that Jimmy is going to help him retain, and that is going to be what helps Jey be like, maybe I should help my family?
Yes. I truly believe that's going to happen after the interaction that we saw. Both interactions. I mean, when Jey obviously leaves, doesn't give him a second of his time, and then says, get out of my face when Jimmy goes to find him in one of the many open doors or locked doors, whatever, at the arena. That interaction told a lot, especially with the interaction from Roman on Friday night, where he said no yeet.
Yep.
And then you have Jay saying, get out of my face. Like, everyone's on their own path right now and doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which,
Jimmy needs the bloodline needs to be settled.
yeah,
Like this you know, the bloodline rebels need to be dealt with. And the only people to take them down are obviously the OG. But you're dealing with the pieces of you know, what was broken.
I do like that they're going about things this way, because if this were, you know, the Vince McMahon era of things, the bloodline would all magically be cool with each other. They would forget about how things ended and like what
realistic.
Roman did to Jimmy and Jay, and then whatever. Like, we would all just be magically reuniting, and it would be like, yay, they're back together again, you know. So I do like that they're having this inner conflict with each other, because it makes the whole thing a little bit more interesting, and it draws it out, obviously. Which I think this is, I'm more interested in like this than whatever is going on with the Bloodline 2.0, because I feel like they don't really know what's going on with them or whatever.
You know, just
all I really care about be still my heart. I've never heard more beautiful words spoken before. Tama,
what words were spoken there? Those was all noise.
you just don't understand it, okay? We have a language, okay? I understood everything he just said to me, okay?
I wish I knew. I wish
yeah.
I had that access.
So, yeah, I'm interested to see this. I mean, I would almost be a little bit disappointed if Jimmy helping Jay retain is all it took to win him back over. But I mean, if they're, I don't know. It feels like the easiest thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay defends the title at Crown Jewel too, potentially. I don't know. Or maybe they determine a number one contender at Crown Jewel. I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to see. We shall have to see. Stop it right now, final boss. I can't take you and your biased words. Final boss is talking about the final boss.
What if this is his burner?
The final boss is talking about the final. Well, if he doesn't, I've talked some shit, and he's still
I know. Maybe Dwayne likes you.
Maybe he does. Maybe he secretly likes me. I don't know. Okay, so lastly, we can talk about The Miz versus R-Truth. We see that R-Truth is able to win fairly quickly with the schoolboy pin, which I was kind of here for, because it's like, all right, weren't expecting that. And also, I loved that Mr. Karrion Kross instructed AOP to beat up Mr. R-Truth afterwards and allow The Miz to hit a skull-crushing finale. I hate that fucking name. I hate that finisher name. It's so dumb. But anyway, to get that going, and I'm like, okay, we see The Miz fully turn heel. I feel like that was kind of like the solidifying of it, because up until now it was like, is he, will he, won't he? No, we now know The Miz is back to being The Miz. But is he really going to fully accept the final testament into his heart? Are they going to be his Lord and Savior? That's the question, because he wouldn't have been able to hit that skull crushing finale potentially if it weren't for AOP.
Yeah. AOP and the Final Testament got him there.
Mm-hmm.
But there is someone that I think he will be feuding alongside with at the same time. We're going to see a little internal conflict with the teases, the QR codes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the White Six are lurking.
Mm-hmm.
They're lurking around and keeping a close eye on The Miz, because he's doing exactly what Chad Gable did.
It kind of,
I love it.
It kind of makes me wonder if like maybe The Miz will just accept that Karrion Kross is like looking out for him or trying to help him, right? And then once he starts to be the full-blown target of the Wyatt Six, if he eventually is like starts to feud with Karrion, being like, you tricked me, you manipulated me, you ruined my life, and now you have these weirdos attacking me every single week, blah 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 blah. Like, that would be kind of interesting. eventually. I don't mean like right away.
No. Obviously, that
He
is
has to,
something that would
yeah, he
slow
has to be
burn.
terrorized by the Wyatt Six
Oh,
for a
for
while,
sure. I
and then
want to
get
see that.
pissed because he's gonna know it was because Karrion made him question his friendships and his loyalties, and who was really his friend, and blah blah blah. And then he eventually gets pissed at him for doing that. I don't know. That would be kind of interesting.
I see this being a guinea pig of sorts for a potential storyline feud, whatever you want to call it, with two factions and one singular person.
Mm-hmm.
It's more. It seems like to me, it's the devil and angel on your shoulder. It's just multiple people are playing that role,
Mm-hmm.
and right now, there's not really anyone that could pull that off except for The Miz
Mm-hmm.
because of how long he's been in WWE, the journey that he had to get here. Yeah, everyone has their own unique path, but I mean the stories are both obviously on camera and in the backstories that we've heard about them is, it would this has the potential to be that new day, where Final Testament started teasing with Woods. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. But then it led to, oh shit, like Xavier Woods and Kofi are on rocky terms.
Yeah.
And it's leading to something.
I
All right.
want to see Karrion have a list of like a hit list of everyone that he's like trying to screw with, because like how many people has he messed up that he's worked with
It's
since his return? You know what I
at
mean?
least 8.
And
At
that's
least
it's
8.
like people, like I said, people were coming for me because when I responded to a post about Karrion Kross, and I was like, you guys are sleeping on Karrion Kross, and people are like, yeah, because he's so mid. I'm like, no, you're not looking at what he's actually done, like, and how the character progression of the people that he's worked with, and how some of them have had the best work of their career after working with Karrion. And I'm not saying he's not like, the reason for it necessarily, but it is pretty interesting, all things considered. I just don't think he gets enough credit, but we say that all the time. So
He doesn't. He does not get the credit that he deserves because he's absolutely enthralling when
yes,
he's on screen.
well,
My eyes are glued. I don't even know what he's saying. I mean, I low-key know what he's
no,
saying, but it's
yeah,
very dark and cynical, but you're captivated. You want to listen to what he has to say because you have no idea what he's going to do next.
yeah, because this character is so good for him. It's like kind of unfortunate that they haven't gotten to this, didn't get to this faster. I still don't necessarily think that they need like AOP and whatever. Like, I don't think that they needed all of that for him to
They
get
need
there.
Paul Ellering.
But
They need
well,
Paul
he
Ellering.
literally does nothing. So I don't know.
What?
Um,
It's the mind. It's the experience, Sarah. That's what he brings. He managed the Road Warriors.
Final Boss thinks that I have a secret love for The Rock. I'm sorry.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Technically, no, because I literally can't smell. So
I forget that
I can never smell.
on like a monthly basis.
I do not need to yeet. You know what I
Damn it.
do need? You know what I do need? That's all
Stop trying to get Yeet out because he gets the yeet. He's right.
No yeets.
Well, all right. Well,
I'm
that was
team
good.
no yeet. I even was yelling it at WrestleMania. Okay? Everyone was like yeet yeet, and I was like, no yeet. Okay. Okay.
I came home from Mania and there were only 3 words that cycled in my brain the entire time. And it was just yeah, yeet, and no yeet. Just
And Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar.
And what was that guy
Rey
saying about
Mysterio, Matt $10.
yeah. Genuine Rey Mysterio about $10. And we were like, you're selling them on the corner of the busiest intersection in Philly right now, and you're telling me that they're genuine.
Oh, for backstory, because this was one of the funnier stories on the trip. Sara and I are coming out of WrestleMania. It is beyond levels of people, just everywhere. You couldn't cops. They were directing traffic. Like you were just walking with a sea of people, and you can't find anywhere to go because Ubers are getting redirected
Yeah, because the
onto
streets
different roads because
down.
streets were closed. Like, it was a shit show. And Sarah and I are not from Philly, and we were walking around this area trying to find our Uber. Our Uber, Kyle's mom,
Yeah.
and this guy is just constant. Every 5 seconds, Rey Mysterio met $10. Rey Mysterio met $10. He went up to 10 people in a 30-second span.
Yeah,
Just
and just
saying
was
this.
like everybody, but the thing is everybody was just standing there like they weren't moving, and he just kept saying it. And I'm like, literally, we all have heard you the first 15 times, and no one is buying them.
Block is cold,
So
man. Block is cold.
it's just, yeah, it was rough.
Oh my god.
But
It's
anyway,
so funny.
that was Raw.
That was Raw. It was Raw.
Yeah.
Great. Another 2-hour Raw. We got a couple more before we head over to the Netflix. We got NXT on actually right now. It's 8:23, so NXT is on. And you got us back on Thursday for the Super Show, where we talk all things wrestling. We take a little trip around the Wrestleverse and wrap up with a few games and nonsense as such. So that's all I got. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification to know every time we go live and post. Please, it really helps. We are definitely over 2,000. Did we hit the 2,100 threshold?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. We need to get there. So be a peep, tell a peep to hit that button and subscribe so we can help the channel grow. So that this can be your full-time gig, and we don't have to miss NXT to talk Raw. It'd be nice. It'd be nice one day. But until that, follow, subscribe, all that. The links in the description below for the social links. TikTok. We have a TikTok. Sarah posts a ton on it. It's awesome.
I try to. I go in spurts because it's
I do
a lot of
spurts.
work.
I post my own TikTok and tag it, but it is a lot of. I got to get better at that, but that's what we do. Get better every day. And until Thursday, thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you on Thursday.